I was in uniform at the gas station when a kid asked me if I've ever been to war. I was stopping for coffee on my way to the base when this kid, maybe 8 years old, walked up to me at the counter. He was wearing a red hoodie and jeans, nothing unusual except his eyes seemed too serious for his age, like an adult's eyes in a child's face. "Excuse me, soldier," he said, tugging on my sleeve. "Have you ever been to war? I figured he meant had I been to war, so I smiled and told him I'd served 2 tours overseas. Most kids are curious about military stuff, and I don't mind talking to them about it in simple terms. Makes them proud of the people who serve. But then he said something that made me pause. Not that war. War. The real one that's coming. I looked around for his parents, but didn't see anyone watching him. The gas station was busy with the morning rush. People grabbing coffee and breakfast before work. The kid kept staring at me with those intense eyes, like he was studying my face. "What do you mean by war? I asked, crouching down to his level. He whispered something under his breath that sounded like numbers. 17 days, 4 hours, 26 minutes. That's when I noticed other customers had started giving us a wide berth. The guy behind me in line stepped back and moved to a different register. The woman at the coffee station kept glancing over nervously, like she wanted to say something but didn't know how. "Son, where are your parents?" I asked, standing back up. The kid pointed outside to a black sedan parked by the air pump. I couldn't see anyone inside because of the heavily tinted windows, but the engine was running and exhaust was coming from the tailpipe. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. "They told me you'd be here, Marcus. You live on Oak Street with the blue mailbox and the broken fence post." I'd never seen this kid before in my life. My address isn't listed anywhere public. I don't have social media with personal information posted. But somehow this random kid knew exactly where I lived and what my property looked like. "How do you know my name?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. The kid reached into his hoodie pocket and pulled out a photograph. It was me in my dress uniform, but the photo looked aged, like it had been taken years ago. The weird thing was, I'd never had that particular photo taken. The background showed some kind of concrete building I'd never been to. "You need to come with us," the kid said, his voice lacking any emotion. "They're waiting for the collection." The cashier finally spoke up from behind the counter. "Marcus, don't go with him. That's the 3rd soldier he's approached this week. The other 2 never came back to work." I looked at her confused. "What are you talking about?" "I don't know you." She pointed to a bulletin board by the door covered in missing person flyers. "All military personnel from bases within 50 miles. All disappeared after encounters with a kid in a red hoodie asking about war. The kid smiled, but it wasn't a child's smile. It was something else entirely. "Time's up, Marcus. The war is starting whether you're ready or not." And that's when I saw what was really waiting for me in that black sedan. The door of the black sedan opens with a hydraulic hiss that sounds nothing like a normal car. I back away instinctively, my combat training kicking in as I register the wrongness of the sound. The interior of the vehicle is impossibly dark, as if the inside contains no light at all, not the darkness of tinted windows, but something deeper, more absolute. From that unnatural darkness, a silhouette emerges. I can't make out details, just a vague, humanoid shape that seems to bend light around it. The proportions are close to human, but subtly wrong, limbs too long, joints bending at angles that make my eyes hurt. The figure pauses half in, half out of the vehicle, and I feel a pressure building behind my eyes, like the precursor to the worst migraine of my life. "Don't look at it." The cashier's voice cuts through my paralysis as she grabs my arm with surprising strength, yanking me backward toward the gas station entrance. "Get inside, now." I stumble as she pulls me, my training momentarily forgotten as my mind struggles to process what I'm seeing. The kid in the red hoodie stands perfectly still by the sedan, that unnatural smile still fixed on his face. He's still counting down under his breath. 17 days, 4 hours, 22 minutes. Inside the gas station, chaos has erupted. Customers are shoving each other toward the back exit, abandoning coffee cups and breakfast sandwiches in their panic. A woman trips over a display of chips, sending bags exploding across the floor. Nobody stops to help her up. "What the hell is happening?" I demand, but the cashier ignores me, locking the front door with trembling hands. "It won't help," she mutters, more to herself than to me, "but it might buy us time." Outside, the windows of the gas station begin to darken, not all at once, but in patches, like ink blooming through water. The morning sunlight dims as if a cloud has passed over. But when I look up, the sky is clear. The darkness seems to be coming from inside the glass itself. "The collection," the cashier says, her voice barely above a whisper. "That's what they call it. They've been taking soldiers for months now. Always the same pattern. The kid, the sedan, the countdown." I look at the security monitor behind the counter, but all 6 camera feeds show nothing but static. The cashier follows my gaze and laughs bitterly. "They never show up on cameras, never leave evidence. The police think the missing soldiers just deserted." The kid outside continues his unnervingly precise countdown, his voice somehow audible through the glass despite the distance. 17 days, 4 hours, 21 minutes. "Why me?" I ask, trying to keep my voice steady. "Why my address?" Before she can answer, the darkness outside is cut by flashing lights, not police, but military vehicles. 3 unmarked Humvees screech into the parking lot, surrounding the black sedan. Soldiers pour out, but their gear isn't standard issue. Their weapons look like nothing I've seen in my years of service, bulkier than normal rifles, with strange blue components that pulse with an internal light. The soldiers move with practiced precision, establishing a perimeter around the sedan. Their faces are obscured by specialized helmets with darkened visors. One breaks from formation and approaches the gas station door, gesturing for us to stay inside. That's when I see him, the commanding officer directing the operation from behind the line of soldiers. I recognize him immediately from the photograph the kid showed me, the one I supposedly never took. He's standing in front of that concrete building, giving orders with confident hand signals. That's impossible, I mutter, pressing closer to the glass despite the cashier trying to pull me back. In the chaos outside, something else is happening. The kid in the red hoodie has stopped counting. His smile has faded, replaced by an expression of mild disappointment. As the military unit advances, he simply dissolves. Not like a person walking away, but like a projection being switched off. One moment he's there, the next there's just an empty red hoodie, crumpling to the ground. The commanding officer barks an order, and 2 soldiers rush forward to secure the empty garment, handling it with the caution of a bomb disposal unit. The black sedan's door closes with that same unnatural hiss, and the vehicle begins to move, not driving away, but sinking into the asphalt as if the parking lot were made of liquid. Within seconds, it's gone, leaving no trace behind. The darkness recedes from the windows, sunlight flooding back into the gas station. The commanding officer turns toward the building, and even through the glass, I can feel his eyes lock onto mine. He nods once, a gesture of recognition that sends ice down my spine. How does he know me? Marcus Cross, the cashier says quietly beside me. That's what they'll call you, but that's not your real name, is it? Before I can ask what she means, the gas station door bursts open. 4 soldiers enter, weapons at the ready but not pointed directly at us. The commanding officer follows them in, removing his helmet to reveal a face that's somehow both familiar and foreign to me. Sergeant Marcus Cross, he says, his voice triggering flashes of memory. I can't quite grasp desert heat, the smell of gunpowder, whispered conversations in languages I shouldn't understand. You're being extracted for your own protection. The collection has targeted you specifically. I don't understand, I say, but even as the words leave my mouth, something deep inside me recognizes the truth in what he's saying. Who are you? What's happening? Colonel Mercer, Special Containment Division, he replies, offering no hand to shake. And what's happening is that you've been compromised. We need to get you to a secure facility before they make another attempt. The cashier steps back, her role apparently finished. The other customers have all fled through the back exit. It's just me, the colonel, and his soldiers now. The kid, I say, my thoughts racing to keep up with events. He knew things about me, about my house. They always do, Colonel Mercer says grimly. That's how they mark their targets. The question is why they've waited this long for you. As they escort me toward the door, I glance back at the bulletin board covered in missing persons flyers. All those soldiers, all approached by the same kid in the red hoodie, all now part of what he called the collection. 17 days, I mutter, remembering the countdown. Less than that now, Colonel Mercer corrects me. And when it reaches 0, you'll understand why we've been preparing for this war. The real one, the war. Outside, they usher me into one of the Humvees. As we pull away, I catch one last glimpse of the empty red hoodie being sealed in what looks like a lead-lined container. Whatever game is being played here, I'm suddenly certain of one thing: I've been a piece on the board all along, just waiting to be moved. The Humvee bounces over a pothole, jolting me back to awareness. I've been staring at my hands for who knows how long, trying to process what just happened at the gas station. The interior smells of gun oil and sweat, that familiar military musk that should comfort me but now only heightens my unease. We're 15 minutes out, the driver announces to Colonel Mercer, who sits across from me, studying my face with unsettling intensity. Where are we going? I ask, my voice steadier than I feel. Joint Special Operations Command Outpost, Mercer replies. Off-grid facility. You won't find it on any maps. The Humvee's interior falls silent again, except for the rumble of tires on asphalt. I notice the soldiers flanking me are positioned like guards, not protectors. Their weapons remain within easy reach. You're not the first, you know, Mercer says suddenly, breaking the silence. That kid in the red hoodie has approached 7 soldiers in this region alone. 17 similar incidents across the country in the past month. The cashier mentioned others, I say. Said they never came back. Mercer's expression darkens. They joined what the entities call the collection, willingly, from what we can tell. Entities? The word feels wrong in my mouth. What exactly are we dealing with here, Colonel? Instead of answering, he reaches into a tactical case and pulls out a tablet. He swipes through several screens before turning it toward me. The screen shows satellite imagery of what looks like an astronomical event, a strange celestial alignment with measurements and calculations superimposed over the image. This is happening in 17 days, he says. The exact time frame in the countdown. Whatever's coming corresponds precisely with this astronomical conjunction. My head throbs suddenly, a spike of pain behind my eyes that makes me wince. With it comes a flash of memory, desert sand, night sky, stars in unfamiliar patterns. A voice whispering, they always come when the stars align. You remember something, Mercer observes, his eyes narrowing. I don't know, I mutter, pressing my palms against my temples. Just fragments, flashes, that's how it starts, one of the soldiers beside me says. I turn to look at him, and he nods grimly. The memories, they come back in pieces. The Humvee slows as we approach a checkpoint disguised as an abandoned ranger station. As we pass through, Mercer hands me a thick file folder. Your service record, he says, the official one and the real one. I open it, finding familiar documentation, deployment orders, commendation letters, medical reports. But as I flip through, I discover pages I've never seen before. Entire operations I have no memory of participating in. And most disturbing of all, unexplained gaps in my deployment timeline, weeks missing from my tours overseas. This can't be right, I say, flipping frantically through the pages. I don't remember any of this. No, you wouldn't, Mercer says. Those memories were compartmentalized for your protection, but they're still in there, and they're starting to surface now that you've been marked. We pull into an underground garage beneath what looks like an ordinary government building. As the team escorts me through a series of security checkpoints, I notice other soldiers gathered in briefing rooms. On the walls are photos of children all wearing the same red hoodie, all with that same unsettling adult gaze. How many? I ask as we pass one room, where a soldier is being debriefed, his hands shaking as he points to a map. Too many, Mercer replies, and they're appearing simultaneously across the country. Same script, same countdown, same offer to join the collection. They lead me to a secure conference room where 3 other soldiers wait. I recognize one of them immediately, Rodriguez, from my first tour. He looks up, surprise registering on his face before he stands to greet me. Cross? They got to you too? Before I can answer, a technician enters with a stack of papers and a flash drive. We've finished the preliminary search of Sergeant Cross's residence, she announces, handing the drive to Mercer. You're going to want to see this immediately, sir. Mercer inserts the drive into a computer, and the wall screen flickers to life. I'm looking at images of my own house on Oak Street, the blue mailbox, the broken fence post. But then the images shift to my basement, to a section of wall I've never seen before. In the photos, the wall has been removed, revealing a hidden room filled with papers, maps, and photographs. That's not possible, I stammer. That's not my house. I mean, it is, but that room, I've never seen that room before. You built it, Rodriguez says quietly. We all did something similar, created evidence caches without conscious awareness. The screen shows close-ups of the materials found in the hidden room, newspaper clippings about missing soldiers, astronomical charts marking the same conjunction Mercer showed me, and dozens of sketches of the kid in the red hoodie. You've been investigating this phenomenon for years, Sergeant, Mercer says. You just don't remember doing it. My head pounds again, stronger this time, as fragments of memory surface me in the basement at night, moving the wall panel, adding papers to the collection, all while seemingly sleepwalking. A soldier bursts into the room, his face pale. Sir, we have reports coming in from all monitoring stations. The children have reappeared at all 17 locations simultaneously. What are they saying? Mercer demands. The countdown has changed, sir, the soldier reports. They're all saying the same thing now. 3 days, 6 hours, 12 minutes. The room falls silent as the implications sink in. Whatever was supposed to happen in 17 days is now accelerated. I feel a cold certainty settling in my gut, as more memories begin to surface, memories of encounters with similar entities overseas, of whispered warnings from locals about those who collect the warriors. The war, I whisper, the kid's words suddenly taking on new meaning. It's not just coming, it's already here. I assemble my team in the underground facility's tactical briefing room. The fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows across their faces. Rodriguez from my first tour, Chen, who served in special ops, and Diaz, who I somehow remember from a mission I officially never participated in. The memories are still fragmented, but they're coming back faster now, like puzzle pieces clicking into place. You all experienced the same thing, I say, spreading out the satellite photos on the table. The kid in the red hoodie, the countdown, the black sedan. Rodriguez nods, his eyes haunted. Mine was at a grocery store parking lot. Kid knew everything about me, where I lived, what happened during that firefight in Kandahar, that never made it into any reports. We need to find the source, Chen says, her fingers tracing the patterns on the astronomical charts we've laid out. If the countdown's accelerated to 3 days, we're running out of time. Colonel Mercer enters, flanked by 2 analysts carrying additional files. The room falls silent as he activates the digital display, showing a map with 17 blinking red dots scattered across the country. Each dot represents an encounter, he explains. We've triangulated the movements of the black sedans after each incident. They all converge here. He zooms in on an abandoned facility nestled in the mountains, about 2 hours from our current location. What is that place? I ask, though part of me already knows the answer. Camp Blackwood, Mercer says, officially decommissioned in 1974. Unofficially, it was the site of Project Threshold, a series of experiments conducted throughout the 1,960 seconds involving interdimensional contact. My head throbs as another memory surfaces, dusty files I discovered during my second tour, locals whispering about American soldiers who spoke with the voices between worlds. I remember reading those files by flashlight, then hiding them behind my bunk, only to find them gone the next morning. We're going in, I announce, looking around at my team. Tonight, Mercer doesn't object, just nods grimly. I've authorized full tactical support. Whatever you find there, we need answers before the countdown reaches 0. 6 hours later, our convoy approaches Camp Blackwood under cover of darkness. The facility looms against the night sky, a sprawling complex of concrete buildings surrounded by rusted chain-link fence. It should look abandoned, but there's something off about it. The fence is too clean in spots, the road too recently used. Movement at the main entrance, Chen whispers, peering through night vision binoculars. 2 figures, not military, not entirely human. I take the binoculars and see what she means. The proportions are wrong, limbs too long, movements too fluid, like the silhouette I glimpsed emerging from the sedan at the gas station. We breach the perimeter through a section of fence hidden by overgrowth, moving silently toward the main research building. Inside, emergency lighting casts an eerie red glow through hallways that should have been dark for decades. The facility is humming with power. Look at this. Rodriguez calls from an office we're passing. The walls are covered with timelines, newspaper clippings, photographs, military reports spanning centuries. World War I, 1916. I read, tracing the timeline with my finger. Spanish Civil War, 1937. Vietnam, 1968. Desert Storm, 1991. Each major conflict has photographs of soldiers who disappeared just before fighting began. They've been doing this for centuries, Diaz whispers. The collection, always before major conflicts. Chen points to a scientific paper pinned beside a genetic sequence diagram. They're targeting specific genetic markers, soldiers with particular DNA sequences. My blood runs cold as I spot my own military ID photo on the most recent timeline, alongside dozens of others, many with red X's marked through them, those who've already joined the collection. Why us? Rodriguez asks, his voice barely audible. What makes us different? The answer comes from deeper in the facility, a soft mechanical hum growing louder as we approach what was once the main laboratory. We stack up outside the double doors, weapons ready. On my signal, we breach the room. Inside is a scene that defies reality, a massive chamber filled with floating black cubes, each about 3 feet across, suspended in midair. Between them move figures like the ones we saw outside, their forms shifting slightly as if they can't quite maintain a solid shape in our dimension. And there, in the center of it all, stands the kid in the red hoodie, or rather, dozens of identical kids, all with that same unnerving adult gaze, all wearing the same clothes. They turn in unison to face us, their movements perfectly synchronized. Marcus Cross, they say in perfect unison. We've been expecting you. What is this? I demand. My weapon raised, though something tells me it would be useless. What are you doing with the soldiers you've taken? We are preparing. The children respond in that unsettling chorus. As we have always prepared, the collection is necessary. One of the shifting figures approaches, its form solidifying into something more human, a soldier I recognize from the missing persons board at the gas station. His eyes are different now, holding the same ageless quality as the children's. They don't take us, Marcus, he says. But his voice isn't alone, it's layered with others, as if multiple people are speaking through him simultaneously. We join willingly once we understand. Understand what? I ask, fighting the urge to back away. War, the collected soldier says. Not your human conflicts, the real war, the one between realities. The children step forward in perfect unison. You were tagged during your first deployment, Marcus. The genetic marker was identified. You've been preparing ever since, gathering information unconsciously, building your hidden room. My mind flashes to the research cache behind my basement wall. I didn't build that consciously, but somehow I knew it was there. Soldiers with your specific genetic markers serve as anchors between dimensions. The collected soldier continues. We harvest you before conflicts to prevent catastrophic breaches. You're not human, Chen says, her weapon still trained on the nearest child. We exist between, the children reply. We maintain the boundaries. We prevent the war. One of the black cubes floats toward us, its surface rippling like liquid obsidian. Inside, I catch glimpses of impossible landscapes and creatures that hurt my eyes to look at. The choice is yours, Marcus Cross, the children say. Join the collection willingly, or witness the war when the countdown reaches 0. I stare at the children, at the collected soldier, at the shifting entities moving between the floating cubes. Part of me understands now these fragments of memory. The research I gathered unconsciously, the countdown that's been accelerated. There's always a third option, I say, my voice steadier than I feel. And I think you know that, or you wouldn't have brought me here. The children's expressions change slightly, the first real emotion I've seen on their faces. Not fear, not anger, but something close to respect. Choose carefully, Marcus Cross, they say. 3 days remain. I stare at the collected soldier with his layered voices, at the children in red hoodies standing in perfect unison, at the black cubes floating throughout the chamber. My mind races, connecting fragments of recovered memories with the hidden research I'd been unconsciously gathering for years. There's always a third option, I repeat, more firmly this time. The children tilt their heads in synchronized curiosity. Explain. I reach into my tactical vest and remove a small metallic cylinder that Colonel Mercer had given me just before we left for Camp Blackwood. It's about the size of a pen, with a series of numerical keys along one side. Protocol Blacklight, I say, and the effect is immediate. The floating entities freeze in place, their forms flickering like static. The children's expressions shift from curiosity to something approaching concern. That protocol was decommissioned, they say in unison, their voices slightly less certain. No, I reply, turning the cylinder to reveal a small digital readout. It was just hidden. The government has known about you for decades, since the 1960 seconds experiments, at least. Probably longer. Rodriguez steps closer to me, his eyes wide with recognition. The dormant protocol, I remember now. They briefed us on it during that mission in. He stops, wincing as another suppressed memory surfaces. During that mission that never happened. I nod. They've been preparing contingencies since they first made contact. The collections were allowed to continue because the alternative seemed worse. The collected soldier moves forward, his movements jerky and uncertain. The protocol is incomplete. Your understanding is limited. Maybe, I acknowledge. But I know enough. You need us soldiers with specific genetic markers to maintain the boundaries between dimensions. But you've been taking too many, too quickly. The balance is shifting. I press a sequence of numbers on the cylinder, and the digital readout begins a countdown. 0 hours, 15 minutes. What are you doing? Chen asks, her weapons still trained on the nearest child. Forcing a negotiation, I say quietly. The countdown reaches 0 precisely as the children's earlier prediction comes to pass. The air above us shimmers and tears open, revealing a glimpse of something beyond, not just in the facility, but according to the alerts now flooding our tactical comms, above major cities worldwide. The sky splits like fabric being torn, revealing swirling vortices of impossible colors. Through these rifts, I catch glimpses of landscapes that defy physics, twisted spires of material that isn't quite matter, beings composed of geometries that hurt to look at. War, war, the children say, their voices now tinged with something like fear. This is what we prevented. This is why the collection exists. The protocol I've activated isn't a weapon, it's a signal. For decades, the government has been developing a network of quantum resonators tuned to the specific frequency of the collected soldiers' genetic markers. With the protocol active, every soldier they've ever taken becomes a point of disruption in their carefully maintained system. You've been telling us half-truths, I say, watching as the floating black cubes begin to pulse erratically. You don't collect soldiers to prevent catastrophic breaches, you harvest us to fuel your own defenses against something else. Something worse. The collected soldier staggers, his layered voices separating into distinct individuals, fighting for control of the same body. You don't understand what you're doing? They say. The barriers must be maintained. Then tell us the truth. I demand. All of it. What's really coming through those rifts? The children exchange glances, a moment of genuine uncertainty breaking their perfect synchronization. Finally, one steps forward. We are not the threat, it says, its voice now singular instead of the chorus. We are the barrier between your reality and theirs. The collection preserves the boundary. Without it, they will come through. As if on cue, something begins to emerge from the largest rift, a mass of writhing appendages attached to what might be a central body. Though my mind can't quite process its shape, the sight of it sends waves of primal fear through me. Stop the protocol, the child pleads. We can negotiate new terms, but if the collection fails completely, there will be nothing left to save. I look at my team, at the collected soldier struggling against himself, at the rifts widening above us and, according to our comms, above cities worldwide, millions of lives hang in the balance. New terms. I agree. Entering another code into the cylinder. The rifts begin to stabilize, not closing completely but no longer growing. No more unwilling collections, no more memory manipulation. And you tell us everything what you are, what they are, and how we can help maintain the boundaries without sacrificing our people. The negotiation takes hours, there in the chamber beneath Camp Blackwood, while the world above holds its breath, watching impossible rifts hover in the sky. The children, or rather, the projections they use to interact with our dimension explain the truth. They are guardians of a boundary between realities that has existed since the dawn of consciousness. The war isn't a human conflict, but an eternal struggle to prevent invasive entities from consuming our reality. For centuries, they've used genetically compatible humans as living anchors to strengthen the boundaries, harvesting them before major conflicts when the barriers naturally thin. The government discovered their existence during the Cold War and established an uneasy alliance, providing some volunteers in exchange for protection. But something has changed. The barriers are weakening faster than ever before, requiring more anchors, more collections. That's why they accelerated their timeline, why the countdown changed. We can help each other, I tell them as we finalize our agreement. Willing participants, full disclosure, and shared knowledge, no more secrets. The collected soldier, now able to control his multiple voices, steps forward. Those of us already in the collection wish to remain. We understand our purpose now, but we agree. No more unwilling participants. When it's over, when the rifts have closed and the black sedans have disappeared from gas stations and grocery store parking lots nationwide, Colonel Mercer meets us at the facility entrance. Dawn is breaking over the mountains, casting long shadows across the abandoned research buildings. Did it work? He asks, though the fact that the world isn't being consumed by interdimensional horrors answers his question. New agreement? I tell him, handing over the documentation we've drafted. They get volunteers only. We get protection and knowledge exchange. The collection continues, but on our terms. And the memories? Chen asks, rubbing her temples where the pain of recovered memories still lingers. We keep them, I say. All of them. No more manipulation. 3 weeks later, I drive down Oak Street toward my house. The fence post is fixed, not broken like it was when I left. The blue mailbox has been replaced with a new one, silver with my house number painted in black. Small changes, subtle ones that most people wouldn't notice, but I do. I park in the driveway and sit for a moment, watching the afternoon sunlight play across my front yard. The world looks the same, but it isn't. The knowledge we've gained can't be unlearned. The glimpses beyond the veil can't be unseen. Inside, I go straight to the basement and move the panel that reveals my hidden research room. It's all still there, the newspaper clippings, the astronomical charts, the sketches of the kid in the red hoodie. But now there are new additions: official documentation of our agreement, technical specifications for quantum resonators, and communication protocols for direct contact with the Guardians. No more black sedans appearing at gas stations. No more children in red hoodies counting down to 0. No more soldiers disappearing without explanation. The war continues beyond our reality, but now we're willing participants rather than unwitting pawns, and that makes all the difference. I trace my finger along a star chart, feeling the echo of memories that were once suppressed but now form a complete picture. The collection continues, but it's different now, transparent, voluntary. And somewhere between dimensions, the Guardians maintain their vigil, strengthened by those who chose to join them, protecting us from horrors we can barely comprehend. I close the panel and head upstairs. There's a new normal to adjust to, a world forever changed by what we've learned, but at least now, we face it with open eyes.